Guys, it's Maymay and we're back with the Big Book of Holiday Paper Crafts. And I want to say thank you to you guys for helping me. I was at the hospital and trying to get this video posted and everything while I was in the waiting room, and so some things were a little bit difficult. And for those of you who don't know, my father-in-law had his 3rd open heart surgery, and I appreciate all your prayers, and he's come through just fine. But I had a little hard time trying to find a link for this guy. But I have found one, and I will put it in the description box of every one of the videos that we're doing. So if you're interested, I found it on Amazon, and it's a pretty good price. So you can check it out there. Okay, that link is below. Today we're going to continue in our Christmas in July series in the Big Book of Holiday Paper Crafts, and I'm going to do this guy. And I'm going to bring it up so you can see him. So you see this ornament? I'm going to do this guy. And it's funny because it's not something I would normally like just looking at it here. But when I saw what it does, do you see this side here? A tag pulls out of it. And I thought, okay, now I like it. So we're going to try doing it. Now, a couple of things that about this particular ornament in the book. One is it shows you how to make it like this. And so this book has this pattern in the back, and what it says to do is to enlarge this pattern by 350%. That probably works great, but for my purposes, I think that not everybody has a copy machine or access to one. So what I'm going to do is use things I have in my craft room and make it work. So we're going to go back and look at this guy again, and what I looked at these instructions, and they're so generic, they're so simple. Like, the first thing says, make 2 ornaments from the pattern. Follow the pattern, layer them together, and stitch the edges. I'm not going to stitch the edges. I'm going to glue the edges, but it is cute stitched. And everything in here is kind of do it yourself. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do it ourselves, and we're just going to use the picture for our inspiration. So what I'm going to do with this picture, where I normally have it on this side, because it's on this side of the page, I'm going to slide it up here, making sure you can still see the picture. And then I'm going to work in this space. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is do this ornament shape itself. I went through one of my paper packs, and I'll show you which one. This one, which is called Noel, and it's from Michael's. My Aunt Nita bought this for me. I really appreciate it. She's always given me sweet little things. I love this. So I went through this pack, and I picked out 3 different papers. I'm going to use this paper in place of the red. The reason is, my last card I did almost exactly what they showed in the book. And I thought this time I want to mix it up. So I'm going to use this for this paper. This strip in the center that holds the snowflakes, I'm going to use this paper. I love this paper. And then for the snowflakes, these are actually punched snowflakes. I'm going to punch some out of this red paper. So we have this going on. I love it. I think it's cute. So the first thing we need to do is cut the shape for the ornament. Now, I will tell you something. I looked here. The finished size of this card is 5 1/4 by 6. So, and I was thinking, how can it be 5 1/4 by 6 if it's round? Well, it's got this little top here, which we're going to make ourselves. And so because of that, it is, you know, taller than it is wide. What I'm going to do is cheat. This is a roll of ribbon that I have in my stash, and it is, I measured this earlier, and it's right at 5 inches. So I'll show you. This is right at 5 inches around, so I'm going to use it, so we won't quite be 6 inches. So it's okay, we're going to just modify it. So I'm going to flip this paper over so it'll be easier to see, and I'm going to trace around 2 of these. No, I'm going to trace this twice. So, pencil, and trace. And now I'm just going to cut these out real quick. Alright, so there's 2 circles. Now, because when I was cutting this, I noticed that they are not perfect, I'm going to do something that might help me as we get going. I'm going to take out my ink blending tool and some distress ink. And I'm just going to put some paper down so I don't make a huge mess. But here's the thing. Because I'm afraid they won't line up, I'm going to ink these edges. So if I have a little bit showing, it'll at least be brown and not stark white sticking out. I don't have to do a lot, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I just thought this way, if there's any showing, it'll look more rustic than stark white. Okay, so there's that one. If you don't do this part, don't worry, because if you still have the same issue, you can always just take a marker, or you can just try to cut till it's all the white part is cut away. Now, it'd be beautiful if you inked the entire ornament. I don't think I'm going to at this point. I might do it later, but right now I'm not going to ink it. Alright, so there's our circle cut from this gorgeous, gorgeous paper. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and decide on, this is what's interesting. I don't know if you can see it in this picture very well, but there is a little half moon cut out here. And that half moon is what slides our ornament in. So the way they do it is they actually have the pattern pieces for you. But I'm not using the pattern, so I'm going to show you how we're going to create that same illusion or that same effect. I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my cutting mat, and I'm going to place my ornament on one line. It doesn't matter which line it is. I'm just grabbing a line, okay? Then I'm going to take this other ornament, and I'm going to line it up using these 1/2 inch marks, and just bring this ornament down till it reaches that 1/2 inch mark on both sides, and then I'm going to trace it onto the top of my other ornament and break the pencil lead. I'm really bad about that. Okay, now then, the only thing that's important when you do this is make sure you have your pattern paper where you want the top to be, because this is going to be the top portion. Now we're just going to take these two guys and put them together, and again I want my paper to match up. So it'll be like this. Okay, so now I'm going to cut this portion away. Holding this in my hand, lined up together, I'm going to cut that away. And I'm going to use these longer scissors because I'll have a longer, smoother blade to cut with, which will help me with moving the paper. Now you don't want to lose these two pieces because we're going to need them. Okay. Don't lose these. We need those. We're going to put those aside for a minute. Now what we want to do is glue these two together. And I'm going to do it with some tacky glue, because I think it will hold better. The cool thing is you don't have to worry too much about any part of this touching the tag you're going to put in, except the very top mouth portion. Your tag's going to have to clear your glue, you know, when it slides in, but it shouldn't be a problem. Now I'm just going to line these back up. Pick them up and swirl them around until they match up. So there's our ornament put together, and the top is open for the tag to slide in and out of. Okay, let's go ahead and make that tag, because I think that's going to be the other technical part, so let's go ahead and get that done. I'm going to use my ruler on this one. And like I said, I'm not using the pattern, so we're just doing this ourselves. So I'm going to measure this opening. So this is just a hair over 3 inches, this opening. I'm going to cut my tag down to 2 3/4 of an inch wide by, and I'm going to leave myself room for the glue at the bottom, by 3 1/2 long. So 2 3/4 by 3 1/2. I had this paper left over from the album, so that's what I'm going to use, is this craft paper. So I need it to be 3 1/2 long. 2 3/4 wide, and I'm going to test it and make sure it will slide in and out of the card. So we're going to have a slight opening here. Okay. If I can get it to go in there, there we go. And then this slides in and out of the card just like this. I'm just wanting to make sure it has plenty of room, so I'm just kind of working it. This side seems like it might have loosened up a little bit, but I think that's still going to be okay, because I really want to use as much space as I can for the tag. So I think that works. Okay, so we got the bottom portion of our tag, and now I want to round the edges. And I don't really need to round the top ones at all, because they're not going to show. But I'm going to round these bottoms with the 1/2 inch rounder. And I bet that'll slide in even easier. Let's just see. Yep, because it took some of that corner off. So now what we're going to do is put this, we're going to glue this to the top portion here. Just like that. And I'm going to try to glue it as high up as I can to give me the most space on my card. So what I'm going to do is take some of this tacky glue and run it right here at the very edge, and then lay this as high up as I can get it without the card, you know, not being on it. Try to center it as well as we can. Like that. And then I'm going to turn it over And that feels a little crooked. You're kind of eyeballing this one, but you can tell by looking at your tag. There we go. And now I'm going to glue this better. I'm going to put more glue back here all the way around. And then put this guy on. Now because I inked the edges, I could tell which part of this was top and bottom because I had inked it. So if not, you may want to test it before you glue it down to your tag piece. Okay, let's just see how this works now. And it's sealed shut, nice and snug. Isn't that cute? See, that's what I liked about this one, is it's kind of, you could put a gift card or something in if you measure it right. That would be cute. Okay, now what I want to do is create the ornament topper. Now again, they have a pattern for it, but I'm not using a pattern, so we're going to do it a little bit different. So do you guys recognize this punch? I'm going to use the solid punch. I told you we're just going to do our own thing with this one. And I'm going to put a piece of scrap paper in here, line it up, yep, and punch. Alright, so I punched one of the shape, or that solid shape, and what I'm going to do is at this bottom scallop here, right past, so you see we have the side scallop, I'm going to go right to this bottom, and I'm going to cut straight across to the other bottom. So you see this piece we made for ourselves, and I'm going to use it at the top as if it were an ornament topper. I think it works really cute, and just dig through your stash and find what you've got. Even if you used a half circle or anything, it will work. So I'm going to cut another one of these because I want one on the back side as well. So I have 2 of those, and I'm going to glue them together on here. First I'm going to start by gluing this one on. So I'm just going to run some glue along the bottom. And you don't have to use wet glue for this. You could use some of your tapes and things like that. I do like the idea of using the wet glue for where the tag's going so the tag doesn't stick. I think that makes good sense. Okay, let's flip it over. And we'll glue the other half down. Just line that one up. Just like so. And I think that looks super cute. I think it works just fine. Now I just want to let that dry before I pull on it too much. So I'm going to move this out of the way and start working on this band in the center. Now, there's not even a pattern on the pattern page for this band. Do you see this? They don't give you a pattern for it. What they tell you to do is just kind of eyeball it. So here's how we're going to do it. Here's how we're going to get through that together. Okay, so this is the paper I want to use here. So I'm going to flip it over and trace another circle from this. I think this will be the easiest way to do it. I'll trace a circle and cut it out just like we did for the ornament itself. Cut this out. Now I want to talk to you while I'm cutting this out. If you had a Cricut or any electronic cutting machine or a circle die cut, or any way you normally get your circles, you could do this with using that. You don't have to trace something. But I wanted to do it this way so anybody could do this same card. Now if you had a Cricut, or let me say this, if you had an electronic die cutting machine, I could see this being a mass-produced card, but doing this by hand, it's very time-consuming. So if I were you, I would leave this for the one-offs so you can do individuals with it. But if you had a machine to do your circles for you, it wouldn't be hard to put together at all. Okay, now then, I've got to make a piece that goes around here. So what I'm going to do is lay this down and use my pencil to make a mark for kind of where I want this piece to go. And I'm thinking something like that. Okay, so now I'm going to take this ornament so I know I get the right curve, and I'm going to trace it out. And don't worry, this is not going to hurt your ornament. You can erase your pencil marks too. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that first curve that I did so I can see if it's going to work, because I'm just trying this out. So if I lay this here, It'll be really round, but it's not the worst. Okay, now I'm just going to come here and try to mimic that. They tell you to do it by hand anyway. That's literally what they say to do in the thing, is just cut it by hand. Well, I like the bottom curve better, so I'm going to try to match it up here. I think that's too sharp. I really think if you took your designing software for one of your electronic cutting machines, you could like design this and cut these out so easy. That's not bad. Not the worst. We got there. Now this guy is going to lay right here. But what I want to do so I can see it better is I'm going to ink it. I want to ink the edges, because I think it'll help to show it off a little more. I also think I'm going to go ahead and ink the edges of the ornament, because I think it'll be so pretty. I think it would just give it some more dimension and not let it be quite so flat. And I'm going to ink both sides. And the tips of the ornament, of the holder. I think that will look really cute and show off all those little curves. Okay, I think we're really coming right along here, guys. Alright, let's adhere this down here. I really sort of like that. Okay, so I'm going to use ATG on this just because I don't have to use liquid here for sure. And I'm going to put this as high up as I can go so that my curve matches. Now if yours doesn't look exactly like theirs, I'm not going to worry about that. And the reason is we're going to tie something up here. And, you know, ornaments can lay in different ways. This one might be leaned more forward or what have you. But that doesn't bother me that it's a little lower than theirs. It doesn't have to be exact. Now we're going to use this snowflake paper to get those snowflake punches. But what I'm going to do is be very specific and find the actual snowflakes that I want and cut them away so that it'll fit into my punch. And I want both of these right here. So I'm going to see if I can get them without wasting too much paper. Alright, so now we're just going to punch these out. And I'm going to open this so you can see it because it's so dark. But I'm going to put this into, this is a scallop punch. And I picked one out that's just big enough to grab these snowflakes. So here's one. If I can get it out. And it's going to go on there like that. Alright, another punch tip. If you have a small piece of paper you're trying to punch, put it onto a post-it notepad. Or just a piece of post-it note. And that gives you some room to be able to slide it in and out. And that post-it paper will punch really easy anyway. So you should be able to get what you're looking for. Then you can just peel that post-it note off the back. So a little tip there. Now I personally think that these would be super cute if you use something totally different too. I don't think it has to be the snowflakes. I think you could use little embellishments of some sort. I'm going to ink them up. I'm going to put them up on foam tape for here. So I'm going to flip these guys over and put a little piece of foam tape on the back of each one. Now foam tape in my experience, or at least this brand, is not as thick as your regular dimensionals. So if you want it to be thicker, you can always use 2 layers of your foam tape. I'm not worried about that tonight. I do sometimes do it. I think I did it on another thing we did. I don't remember. But I know on this one, I'm just not going to worry about it. And just decide what you want where. I want this one to be in the middle. This one on the side. And this one on this side. That's cute. Okay, let's make these tags. Guess what I'm going to use? I'm excited about this. I'm going to use these tag punches that I showed you. I think they're perfect for these 2 little tags they have here. And I'm going to punch them in craft paper. Trying to continue to use these scraps up. So I'm going to put this one in and get one. So there's one little tag for the top. And now I'm going to do the other one. And since these aren't layering on each other, these are going to be perfect next to each other. Before I do anything else, I know I want to ink these because I want them to have a little bit of definition on the edges. I'm going to do this before I stamp them. And this has joy on it, and I thought that was super cute. And I found this stamp set in my stash, and I think I can get that joy word right there to fit. So I'm going to use it. I do not have the packaging for this one anymore, but I think I know who made it. If I do, I'll put a link below if I can find it for you. Pick this guy up, and I'm going to stamp him in Distress ink. I think it will be fine. Oh, isn't that cute? So that's the Joy one. On this one, they have stamped to and from. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to stamp. I do have a to and from, but I'm just going to do this. I'm going to stamp a little snowflake on it. I think it'll be cute. Just have a little snowflake. Kind of go with those snowflakes in the middle. And now I need to poke holes. Bring over my crocodile in the smallest setting. There's one. Okay, so we have these stamped. I'm going to put those aside for a second. And then I want to work on these snowflakes. I have these pearls. Now in the book they use little rhinestones, but I don't have those size rhinestones. And I just think this will be cute. So I'm going to take some of these larger pearls and put in the center of these snowflakes. I think that'll be cute. So there's one. Here's another one. And another one. Oops, stuck to me. Alright, so let me bring that up so you can see it. So I have the 3 pearls in the center. And then what I'm going to do is where they have the rhinestones running all the way around. I don't know if you can even tell that's what that is, but they are little rhinestones running all the way around. I'm going to just take my pearls and just kind of place them periodically around just to give it a different look. But I think they'll be pretty. So I'm going to use these small little pearls. And I'm not going to place them as often. I'm going to spread mine out. But that's because I don't have as many. So sometimes you just got to switch things up a bit. Make your stash work. That's what I like to do. There's those. I'm going to flip it around and do the other side. Those pearls look pretty. They're probably really hard to see on camera. Looks like my top ones are going to have to be larger ones. And that's okay too. No biggie. I'm just out of those little ones now. So I'm using 3 different sizes of pearls at this point. Oh, that one flew up and hit me in the face. It happens. Oop, that one's too big. This guy. I really like the pearls. They shimmer so pretty. So there's those guys. Now then, if you notice up here, they use ribbon and a tiny little safety pin. Well, I don't have a tiny safety pin. I do have ribbon, but I love baker's twine, and I think it will be so pretty. I've got some red baker's twine. I think it will look so good on this ornament. So here's what I'm going to do. First things first, we're going to wrap the baker's twine around this section. But I'm going to do something first I want to show you. I'm going to take my crocodile and the small hole punch of the crocodile, and I'm going to come right here where this little piece and the ornament meet and put a little half circle, like a little half moon right there, just a little nick. If I can get it to, I'm looking through that tiny hole trying to make this happen. So one, can you see that little tiny nick there? Bring it up real close. Right here. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And this is going to give my baker's twine a place to sit and not roll around. Just that little piece. Okay, so now take the baker's twine. Put it underneath the ornament hook. And now when I tie it, it's not going to go anywhere. And I think I'm going to wrap it twice. I think it'll look fuller if I do that. So just a couple of wraps. And then tie it. I'm going to go ahead and get it where I want the bow to be. And I'm going to tie a knot there. So I'm just tying a knot first. Okay. And then I'm going to stick my tags through. Now they have the small one on the bottom, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put the small tag on the bottom first. Just feed that in. And then the top one. And I'm going to tie a bow at the top, and then we will play with those. And then you want to make your bow whatever size you want it to be. Now I'm going to do one more thing. Do you remember how when you were in school and you did the double knot on your laces? I'm going to take the bunny ears of this bow and tie them in a knot, and that will double knot it so that bow's not coming loose. That way, when it gets pulled around and messed around, the bow will be alright. We're almost done. The last thing I'm going to do is put some dimensionals under here. I'm going to use these little tiny ones, and my plan is to kind of secure them to where you can see them both. So Joy will go this way. Go ahead and stick some back there. And then the snowflake will peek out underneath it. It's kind of fiddly. But, so I'll put that dimensional down. I've already peeled the back off. Now when you're doing this part, you got to make sure that your dimension is only on the portion that pulls out. You got to have room for that, okay? So I've got to change this because I didn't realize that. So I'm going to go ahead and put it here on the top and peel the back off and then put the tag on it. Yep, that worked much better. So check this guy out. Isn't it cute? So you pull the top and you get this little tag that comes out just like that, and you can just put a sentiment in there. I think that's really, really cute. So there's the next one in our Christmas in July, and let me zoom in for you. So there's theirs. Now like I said, theirs was 5 1/4 by 6, and ours turned out to be 5 1/4 by 5. So a little smaller, an inch smaller on the height, and just 1/4 inch smaller on the circle. But I think it turned out really cute. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that one. Next time we'll be doing one more from this book. That'll be on Wednesday. But don't forget to join us tomorrow for another in our basic series, which is the basics of paper. I'm excited about that one. I don't have a whole lot to share, but I think the stuff I want to share with you about paper is really important. So check that out tomorrow. I will talk to you soon, guys. Bye-bye.